In the previous video, we worked with Form 1 as a form object, and we saw that with Form 1, or with forms in general, there are a whole lot of properties here, and we looked at a few of them. But what about some of these other ones? How would I find out what those do? Well, there's a little bit of information here. If I click one, it briefly tells me what that does. There's also a whole lot of events as well as properties, and again, we'll see when that event occurs. But where would I find more information about all of those? Well, the best source probably is to go to Microsoft and their documentation. We need to remember that the WinForms system is pertinent both to Visual Basic and C#, and so it's not necessarily Visual Basic documentation as it is system.windows.forms documentation. And here's the link for that. Here's the documentation then on the form class, and we can scroll through it, see examples of code, get some remarks, come down to the properties, and these are all those properties that were listed in the properties window. And each one of these you can click on and get more information about. As I continue to scroll down past all the properties, here are the methods that are part of the form that we can call in our code. We'll look at that as we get into coding down the road. And then below the methods are the events. And again, any of these events you can click on and find out more information about that particular event. Remember, classes are properties, methods, and events. In the menu on the left-hand side, I can go directly to the properties, methods, or events. Notice that for any of the controls that we will use in this course, so the next video we're going to talk about labels, you will find information here about labels and their properties, methods, and events. And we'll also look at text boxes. Here's the information on text boxes. So use the Microsoft Learn reference material and documentation to your advantage, and to be able to go much deeper than what I present in this course. Now, when you get into coding, they also have documentation on Visual Basic, and there's a link there to go to that help system. Here in Microsoft Learn, there are some tutorials as well as some references. I would encourage you to take some time to look those over. You might find some things that are very helpful. The one that I really like here is the keywords. One of the pages I really like is this language reference keywords page. That's a great place for accessing all the keywords that we'll encounter in Visual Basic. And here then are all the keywords. And so one of the first things we'll talk about is dim, which stands for dimension. We're declaring variables. We can click on that and find the syntax and the structure of that statement, and as well as some uses. So we see some examples. So I recommend bookmarking those in your system. In addition, we also have some resources for our course. One is the recommended course textbook by Tony Gaddis, starting out with Visual Basic. The latest edition is the 8th edition, although previous editions will work. That hasn't changed that much. I've been using Tony Gaddis as an author for a couple decades now, both for Visual Basic, C#, and Python and Java. I really like his writing style, and like myself, he is a late objects professor. I also put in the Canvas site a link to the goalkicker.com text called visualbasic.net Notes for Professionals. This is a free book that's available to you and is a great reference and provides some good examples of using code. And then finally, there's my cheat sheet that I've created for this course. It's available in Canvas, but I also give you a link here to my public site that you can download it if you're not enrolled in the course. And of course, searching the internet using Microsoft Bing or Google, searching for things like Visual Basic Forms, you're going to find tons of information and tutorials and additional links that will help you. Every developer relies a lot on references, including online searches for assistance. And I would strongly encourage you as you go through this course to keep a notebook of syntax and code snippets that you find useful down the road. Research shows that we remember things better if we write things down than if we just read it or view it. And as an incentive, on the final exam, you are welcome to use your notebook or notes and the cheat sheet that I provide for you. I have a notebook for each of the languages that I use and that I teach, and I reference these a lot. So lots of tools and resources out there to help you not only learn Visual Basic, but hopefully also to master it and to develop some great software. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.